And welcome to another episode of Litigators Corner. And today we are privileged to have Belinda Macauley with us of the Beverly Hills Bar Association. Belinda has done some really wonderful things with the Bar Association. But what a lot of people don't know about Belinda is that she was a litigator herself and a very accomplished district attorney. Belinda, welcome. Thank you for coming today.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Hillary. I appreciate it.
Belinda, tell us about your background. I think a lot of people don't know about your litigation history. I think it's really interesting.
Sure thing. I never think of myself as a litigator, but I was a trial lawyer. That was actually my first job out of law school. I was a deputy district attorney in Humboldt County for almost 3 years. And I always tell people who are coming out of law school or looking for a new job in law that being either a DA or a public defender is some of the absolute best experience you can get. I tried about 30 cases. I handled several thousand cases and got to experience opposing counsel, in the hundreds. And it was just an incredible learning experience, how to structure a case, how to work a jury trial back from your jury instructions, how to frame all of your evidence around those, how to read a judge, how to pick a jury. It was just incredible experience, and I highly recommend it to anybody. And I really loved that job, but I was in an area because of my sister and my family situation. And so I left to go back east where I had gone to law school and ended up then working in national nonprofits and with a brief 7-year trip to the private sector, but for the next 20 years. And then moved back to my home state of California last year, and I'm now here.
And being, not only serving the public, but being a district attorney or a DA or PD is probably one of the best ways for any trial lawyer to get trial experience. Belinda probably has more extensive trial experience because of that work than a lot of us do. Belinda, how did you start working with bar associations? Tell me about that.
I was, and this is probably a little embarrassing to admit, I was never even a member of a voluntary bar until I got a job with one in the early 2000s. And that was right after I was a DA. I moved to DC and I got a job running a very small nonprofit that was part of the Bar Association of DC. And it was a pro bono project that paired neighborhood communities with pro bono lawyers, mostly from big law firms. And it was mostly longtime residents in DC who were suing absentee landlords to clean up their empty properties that had become primarily drug nuisance properties within the district. And so it was incredibly great work, and big firms donated a ton of pro bono hours to it. And the project was really well supported by the legal community, and I had a wonderful board of directors. We ended up losing our funding as a result of 9/11. Funding changes from some grantors, and so it reverted back to a volunteer project. But it gave me a taste for the work that can be done at the local level in bar associations, although I wasn't on kind of the member services side. And so that was my first experience with bar associations. And then I interacted a lot with the ABA particularly when I was in the private sector doing litigation consulting, attended a lot of ABA meetings and used a lot of ABA materials. And then not until this job came up did I really then reacquaint myself with sort of all of the services and benefits that a local bar association can bring to the legal community. And that's been a really great experience for me over the last 6+ months of learning how we can be most useful, how the bar can help. What are you all looking for as practicing lawyers? And, where can we really add the most value?
And I'm actually a member of the DC Bar, and they do have a very impressive volunteer program, and I know they really push that for everybody to become involved with, which is good, with the volunteering. I think a lot of them are required to do that if you're a new law student, so I'm so glad to hear that you were involved with that. And I know that we've talked about a lot of the programs, pro bono work that the Beverly Hills Bar Association is getting involved with, or for example, the pro bono military projects. Can you tell us a bit about that and what we can look forward to?
Yeah, absolutely. We are really focusing on trying to find meaningful pro bono opportunities for our members and making it as seamless as possible for them to plug into those. So we have been researching some of the COVID recovery programs and connecting some lawyers to those. We have a program that we're planning about pro bono services for veterans because there's a lot of interest within our bar, and our new president, Adam Siegler, is longtime JAG Corps and now longtime pro bono veteran lawyer, and has a lot of interest in expanding services for veterans. And there are also some great opportunities for bringing things like landlord-tenant and contract and elder law expertise to some communities within LA County that are otherwise underserved. And so we're working on putting together a program for that as well. Our Board of Governors, our executive committee has been very active in expanding that work. And for me, coming primarily from the 501c3 world for the last 20 years, it's really gratifying to see that work from our foundation and also our association really growing.
How important do you think ease of use is? I know my feeling on these is all lawyers work hard. I know you do. I know everybody does. If you can make it easier for people to get involved and they don't feel like they're having to jump through hoops, how essential do you think that is to getting participation?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely critical. To borrow a tech term, I think it really needs to be as plug and play as possible. You all are incredibly busy, and in many cases, we are just bringing your expertise to a population that otherwise wouldn't have access to it or would have limited access. And so the training piece is fairly minimal. Sometimes that's more of a making the contacts and putting you in touch with the right people. In other situations, you have transferable skills where you can get up to speed on particular issues. And so there's some substantive training, and the C3 organizations that do this work are really good, in my experience, with putting those training packets together. So for me, I think that the role that BHBA can play is to gauge our membership on what you're most interested in doing, and then finding the best opportunities with the organizations that have, the most robust support from either their staff attorneys or their training materials. And for the most part, those organizations have been really generous in sharing their materials with us so that we can get a sense of, what are we connecting our members to. And I never fail to be impressed with the work that the organizations that are doing community service work in LA County and elsewhere are capable of, and the materials that they generate, and the real expansion of access to justice that they accomplish.
They really have a really selfless and real commitment to serving the public and their specialized interest. And tell me more about these reach out, because I know what is really important. We had talked about your compiling list. You're going to make a list of resources available to a lot of our members, because a lot of us just don't know about all the programs and opportunities that are available because of the work you put in, and that's these other nonprofit organizations put in to do that legwork to show people what's available, and the hours and hours of time it must take all of you to compile lists like that. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, certainly the heavy lifting is done by the organizations who are doing this work every day. I think the best role that BHBA can play is as a liaison. And so what we're trying to do is figure out, are there places where there is a unique need that we can fill, where there are not services being provided where we can be helpful, or on certain topics, and veterans, where I know you do a lot of pro bono work, is one of those areas. Are there already lots of organizations doing really good work, and the best way that we can be helpful is to just connect our members with those existing opportunities and figure out, what the differences may be between some of them, so we can say, hey, here's a quick menu, of what's available. And that's really what I think are the situations in which we can be most useful, is kind of doing your research for you, kind of doing some of the legwork. And to me, that's overall the role of a bar association. How can we make it easier for you to do the work you want to do? And that's the work that you do to pay your bills, and then also the work that you do to help the community. And I think that bar associations are uniquely in a good position to do that. And I think that's the best way that we can be helpful, and the best way that we can provide value to our members. And that's, in this case, connecting you with pro bono opportunities, but it extends all the way up to, connecting you with marketing resources and video services so that you can have a video of yourself talking about your practice on your website. There's this huge range. And I think that, identifying the ways that we can add value and the places we can be most useful to you, that's the best use of our time and our staff.
I'm actually scheduled to do one of those Zoom videos at the end of the month with Alex. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, I'm excited. That's one of our new member benefits that we're really eager to see BHBA members use. You get a video once a year with our amazing staffer, Alex, who's an expert in filming and editing. And, you can use it for whatever purpose you want, to announce a big win, to market yourself on your website, to, network on social media. And then we'll be sharing those on all of our social channels and trying to highlight you and, give you an opportunity to brag about yourself.
And for everybody who do not know, that this is a huge opportunity for a lot of our members. I think we all know how much it costs to have a video and the time involved, things like that. Alex already has all this prepared, so I'm excited about it. So you don't have to look through all these advertisements and talk to all these people and negotiate. This is part of your membership, so go to it. I would. Belinda, tell me, we're in the wonderful world of Zoom now. How do you see this going forward? I know judges, members, a lot of people like it. I mean, there's something to be said for meeting people in person. That's always nice. But given health and public safety right now, that is probably not going to happen in the near future. And what does our future look like with Zoom? Is this something that's going to continue?
Yeah, it's been such a quick and significant transformation in how we, in particular, provide CLE education. So, as soon as COVID hit, we realized that, our members were still going to need CLE and networking opportunities, and in fact, maybe more so even than before COVID. And so we tried to get our platform up really quickly on Zoom and figure out how we could modify all of our usual processes to work over the internet. And so far, it's gone really well. I know we've gotten really good feedback from members. Our sections have been amazing. Our sections and committees at BHBA have been putting on average, almost a program a day since COVID started. And so the library that we have now of online content is even more significant than it was before. And our attendance has been increased, which, it makes sense when you think about it. We live in an area with a ton of traffic where things are pretty spread out. And so it is easier to jump on Zoom than to drive across town for some folks. And so there is a convenience factor. And we've heard from a lot of our sections and committees that they want to continue using Zoom even after things resume in person. But certainly we've heard across the board that people are eager to get back in person once it's safe. So I think, we'll have to wait and see. But it seems like what may happen is that we're able to have some of the in-person events be more purely marketing or business development and networking focused. And then a lot of our CLE, I think, will continue to be online. We're really going to take direction from the sections and committees, though. There are sections who may decide to stay solely on Zoom. There are some who may decide not to use it at all. There's certainly some amount of Zoom fatigue out there among our membership, I think among the legal community in general, and many professionals who have been on it now for 7 or 8 months daily. But I think it has a real utility, and we have certainly seen that people appreciate the ability to, do more CLE and have some more networking opportunities from home. So we're making tweaks. We just had last week our first networking reception with breakout rooms so that people could go into smaller groups and talk. And we got really good feedback about that. So we're trying to roll that out on a larger scale and offer that to more of our sections and committees. I think those refinements are going to continue to happen over these months. And, we're just going to take feedback from the membership about what you all find most useful. But our goal is to provide as much of what we did in person as we can online, and then some. What are the unique opportunities that being online give us? And one thing we found is certainly that we can do more. We can do more programs when they're all online. And we can have more networking receptions. So we're going to continue doing that, and would encourage our sections and committees to keep bringing us ideas and requests, because that's how all of the great developments over the last 7 months or so have happened.
And we could also reach a lot more people. I know that BHBA is doing a lot of work nationally, and I know internationally now, which might not have been possible. It probably would have been possible before the pandemic, but certainly much more difficult now because of the Zoom age that we are in. I'd rather say that than the COVID age. Zoom age that we are in. That is much more possible. Can you tell me a bit about reaching out to other bar associations? I know that we touched upon it at the orientation, but a lot of our viewers may not know about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have been doing a lot more that's less geographically centered since the Zoom age started. And one of the things we did actually is we got feedback from the membership about our dues structure, and that our regular dues level for people who are now living out of the area or are international lawyers who are only here part of the time, that it didn't make sense for them, the level at our sort of standard membership level. And so we created a new couple of levels so that people can have access to all of our online content, but that they won't plan to attend things in person. And so that's expanded our membership further and given people access to our online content. So that's been, I think, helpful. And then it has really, all of this online programming has given us this great opportunity to reach out to other bar associations. And we've done that for many years. I say we, it was before my time here, but I know that BHBA has been, a very active member of the bar community for a long time. But this has really given us an opportunity to say, hey, would you like to co-sponsor, this event? And there are not, significant costs involved. We don't have to, for instance, say, how are we going to get your membership from an hour and a half away to us? It's made it a lot easier. So I think our most successful example of that is we recently hosted a debate between the then two candidates for the LA County District Attorney's Office. And we're able to co-host that with 7 local, primarily affinity bars, and just had great response, fantastic attendance, several thousand people in terms of attending and then viewing it on YouTube. And I think what a great opportunity that was for the candidates to get their message out farther within the legal community, and what a great opportunity for BHBA to work with more of our colleagues. So I'm constantly looking for those opportunities for us to really work, within the broader legal community here, because LA has such an incredibly broad and diverse legal community and broader community that needs legal services. So there are so many opportunities for all of us to work together.
And connected with so many other associations. So you get involved with one association and they may know other associations. And you also, I think a lot of our viewers may or may not know, if you are a paralegal or if you are a new lawyer, a law student, lawyer in the first 3 years, it is free, your membership. So why wouldn't you do it?
That's right. Yes, that's a new change for us. So law students and then lawyers or paralegals in their first 3 years have free dues. So we really would like to ensure that our membership is reflecting the overall LA region and the legal community. And so one way to do that is to just make it easier for newer lawyers and for students to join. And so we're really gratified that people have been responding well to that.
And I think a lot of people do want to be involved in now that you're doing such a great job of putting the word out to people. I mean, I know, for example, we've been in touch with the Washington, D.C. bar and the bars in other states where people may do business here or are interested in doing business here. And when you think of California, you certainly think of Los Angeles. And I think Beverly Hills is such an iconic city.
Yes.
It's one that not only an exceptional bar association, but people relate to that. And if they want to get into California law or do work or become familiar, it's a really excellent opportunity for a lot of people. And I've been a member of a lot of bar associations. I will say, because I'm not just saying this because I'm here, the Beverly Hills Bar Association is by far the best one, with the camaraderie, with the networking, with the support. They're constantly changing. Michael, when he was our president and is still involved, and Yenna and Alex and all of our section chairs are so friendly and collaborative. You don't often see that. So I think what I do see now is there's just not this jumping through hoops where you're like, okay, 3 weeks later, maybe I get a phone call. You have made it so much easier for us to access each other. It does make a difference, because if you're a busy professional or you have a life, which all of us do, if you have kids or you're busy or you have a workout, or maybe you just want to have some chill out time and you've got a practice to run, you're a member or you're a busy professional, You're saying, hey, they made this so much easier. They had the resources here. They were available. I knew what to do. It did take some time, but it was not the hours and hours and hours. I mean, before it was just days before you could go through this process to even meet people who you might be interested in working with or volunteering with. And at that point, you don't have Zoom fatigue. You're just tired of it. You're like, hey, I've already put in 10 or 15 hours getting this straightened out. Am I going to be able to do anything to contribute here? And so I think it sort of pushed off a lot of people who would have otherwise wanted to contribute. And I've just noticed, and I'd like to be interested in your thoughts, Belinda, because this is about you today. What I've noticed is a real increase in camaraderie and collaborative. And I've noticed just because of the pandemic, which I don't think anybody is happy about, there is this commonality which we didn't have before. You used to be able to say in certain groups, okay, well, we have this in common, but now everybody in the world really has this in common. And I think that's bridged a gap or made things that might have otherwise been more difficult easier, or people be able to relate. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've had a good experience lately. And, my focus coming in was really on trying to use my experience as a practicing lawyer and my recollection of how incredibly busy it is and how your, ability to volunteer is really limited by how much time that's going to consume and how you can fit it in with the work that is paying your rent or mortgage or, car. And so how we can cut down on that amount, right, of the in-between. And so that's really been our focus. And we're really fortunate with the people within BHBA, like the section leadership, our board of governors, our executive committee. Everybody is, as you said, very collegial, collaborative. Lawyers sometimes get a bad rap for how we interact with others, but I have found just everybody to be incredibly welcoming, really interested in helping each other and really working well together. And so I feel like that's the biggest asset that we could have as an organization. And so that for me, along with the rest of the staff, our job is to make it easy for you to then, share your expertise and skills and referrals and everything else with each other. And so that's really my focus, is how can we work within your very busy schedules to appreciate the time that you are putting in. All of this time that people put into bar associations is completely voluntary, and it's a lot. So how can we make sure that it's meaningful time, that you're not spending it on administrative things that we could be doing as a staff. And that's been a big part of our focus during COVID. I certainly know how crazy times have been for people. Working from home has some conveniences, but I know for myself, I have a 7.5-year-old and 2 dogs and a husband who decided to take up the drums during quarantine. So, life's a little crazy. It gets a little crazy at home. So, anything we can do to make things easier for you all, I think that's the role that we should play. And so we've really focused on, what technological changes can we make? How can we make it easier for you to talk to each other online? We have these great new online communities. How can we make it easier for you to market? So we have, new website options and things like that. And so, it's been an incredibly difficult time, obviously, for the nation, the community, and LA has been especially hard hit. And, our pivot has just been to try and provide as much help to our membership as we can during this time, so that when things emerge, you all are as successful as you were before.
Yeah, and I know that I'd like to think that we've done a better job than most. I hope we did. And Belinda is largely, I know it's a group effort, but Belinda is largely responsible for spearheading a lot of these, and Genna and Alex with the tech, and you guys have just done a really amazing job. What do you want our viewers to know about the Bar Association that they may not know?
I think the biggest thing about BHBA is that it really gives you an opportunity to make of it what you need, right? So if you're just looking for fantastic CLE content, we have that. If you're looking for networking and referral opportunities, we have those. If you're looking for help marketing, if you're a solo or a small firm and you need help with video marketing, with social media marketing, things like that, we can do that for you. If you're looking for a leadership opportunity, if you are at a point in your career where you'd really like to, for instance, move up in the leadership and chair a section, if you'd like to direct programming for the litigation section or any of our other great sections or committees, I like that we don't have too much hierarchy in terms of letting people get involved if they want to. For the most part, if you're interested in getting in there and doing the volunteer work, we have ways for you to do that. So we're constantly trying to expand those. And I think and hope that we're very open to input from the membership. I mean, that I'm trying to make a hallmark of my time, overseeing the staff, is that we are getting input from you all about how we can most help you. And if we can implement it, we will. And so that's kind of been our guiding principle. And so far, I think it's going pretty well. And, the more members that come back or the new members that we get, the more input we get. And I think that's just going to help BHBA grow and modernize and be what you all need us to be. Because I think the flexibility is really key. I don't want to get caught up in, we have done something for a really long time some way, but we're not sure it works, but it is always the way we've done it. I want us to constantly be assessing, okay, the legal community has changed so much. I think about when I came out of law school in 1998 and legal research, how different it is, looking for a job, how different it is. Everything is different because of technology and just the way that the legal community has diversified and all the different ways that you can use a law degree. So all of those changes mean that bar associations need to change along with them. And I just want to make sure that we're open to those and that we're, you all are sort of reflection of the practice. And if you're telling us that you need X, Y, and Z, I want to make sure we're giving you that and not A, B, and C.
Right. And then one of the things I've been so impressed with the Bar Association is that there's sort of an equal opportunity bar association. Whether you're a solo or you're coming from a large firm where you have lots of resources available to you, there's not this pay-to-play mentality. There's not the, this person's been here for 15 years. They're very open to letting people get involved and get involved right away. So there are opportunities for people who want to contribute however they want to contribute. And you don't have to go through this, what it can only be described as a very frustrating process where you're going to have to sit on a committee. Maybe we'll think about you 5 years. You're getting this 5 or 10 years from now. We could talk about this. There isn't that. And what I was really impressed about how fast the Beverly Hills Bar Association adapted during the pandemic. And they were on top of things. They were looking at trends. They were getting MCLEs up. The YouTube channel is more active than ever. I know that attendance is up. They had lots of new programs. They were very sensitive to that. And that I've noticed just when I've made suggestions that I actually feel like I'm being heard. I feel like they're actually taking them, whether they do them or not. There's this openness that I won't say it wasn't there before, but I would say that it's made, I think, things a lot easier. And I think that makes people a lot more willing to be engaged with BHBA because they know they're not going to get a lot of pushback. They know they're going to be welcome, and they know that we're interested in doing that. And that is one of the things I think you've done and the Beverly Hills Bar Association has done so successfully during the pandemic. So I am very glad to hear you say that. Belinda, I understand we have a new section that's being formed.
Yes, I'm really excited. We are forming an in-house committee, and apparently we had one in the past, BHBA, but we are doing a few things differently this time, including after talking to numerous in-house counsel, we're going to make the committee accessible just to those folks who are currently in-house. They're all very willing, though, to participate in programming and networking with others within BHBA, but they're really looking for opportunities to share best practices with each other, recommendations as to counsel, kind of the unique challenges of being in-house. So we have many people already interested, and we're going to be forming that within the next month or so. So if you're in BHBA or on our email list, you'll be getting the announcement. And I think it'll be a great way for in-house counsel to engage with each other, and then also a great way for those people who are in-house to interact with the rest of our great BHB members as well.
And the other sections, which I'm looking forward to. Belinda, tell us what's coming up for BHBA. What's on the calendar here that we can look forward to?
So we have a lot of things coming up. We have some fantastic content from all of our sections. We have a brand new inclusion committee at BHBA, and they have some really interesting bias topics for CLEs coming up. There are all kinds of substantive expertise ones from tax, bankruptcy, litigation, trusts and estates, family law, international committee. There's just such great content coming up. So even if you've already got your credits, there should be some things that are really interesting to you. We also have some great networking opportunities. We have a new outreach group whose specific focus is on reaching out to various industries in the area to bring representatives in to interact with our BHBA members so that you all can form business referral relationships, and lots of other ideas percolating too about ways that we can do online networking. So if you have ideas, let us know. Fortunately, the nice thing about all of the online technology is that it's pretty easy to get things up and running. So if you have the will, then we have the way. So we are launching some new features like the breakout rooms that I mentioned earlier, and some online happy hours. So there's some really fun things coming up, and some really easy ways for you to knock out all of your CLE requirements. And then some, additional long-term opportunities like the in-house committee, the inclusion committee, the outreach committee, for, ways for you to build your practice. So we really look forward to all that's to come. I know these are really trying times, but, we are trying to make the best of the technology and the attendance that we've had during this time to, make sure we're being as helpful to you as we can be.
We're all really looking forward to this, and I think it's not only going to be collaborative, informative, but it sounds like also some of these might be fun.
Yeah, I think there's some really great opportunity. It's important, right, to take a break and have fun. And there's wine tastings, there's a mixology.
Yeah, it has created a lot of new opportunities, and I think it's important that everyone stay engaged and stay active and keep seeing people, because I know sometimes when you're working all day or things like that, you may not see too many people or other than your immediate household. And I think that staying engaged is also not only beneficial professionally, but is probably beneficial for your mental health as well.
For sure.
Belinda, this has been really a delightful interview today. I really enjoyed our chat before, so I was actually really looking forward to this. Everyone who is not aware of all the great things that Belinda and the Beverly Hills Bar Association are doing, that is on our website. We have a new website. It looks very nouveau and easy to access. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and pleased. Belinda, thank you for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks so much, Hillary. I really appreciate you having me.